How's it going, everybody? It is your boy Luna the Programmer here, back with yet another power scaling video. I've written the script this time around, so hopefully you'll notice it's a bit more streamlined. In today's video, we're going to be talking about yet another classic among the Dragon Ball community. This time we're going to be delving into Goku versus, of course, the Hakaishin, or the God of Destruction from Universe 7, Beerus-sama himself. And we're going to be talking about, has Goku really surpassed him, or does he still have a ways to go? Hopefully, by the end of this, you'll agree with me when I say that Goku has surpassed the Dispo lookalike himself. For a decent portion of this video, I will be referring to the manga, but I think the first thing that I'm going to do is actually get the anime out of the way, because I feel like that is a bit more clear cut and a lot more easier to argue as opposed to the manga. So take a step back and get a bit of history first. Way back in 2015, when the Battle of Gods movie was first released, of course, we were first introduced to the God of Destruction, Beerus, when he paid a visit to King Kai's planet in order to find the Super Saiyan God. Of course, he utterly destroyed Goku, even when the latter used Super Saiyan 3, and it was obvious that this guy was definitely a bigger threat than anything that had come thus far, as is normal for shonen progression, right? So much so that it drove Goku to look to Shenron for answers in order to just appease this random cat guy who just turned up and started bodying everyone, partially because of some pudding. But even with the power of Super Saiyan God, ultimately Goku could not get a definite win, but he did manage to impress Beerus to the point where I believe Beerus called him a genius or a prodigy in some sorts. Goku, since that point, has gotten several new forms, of course, and each time he's gotten one of these new forms, I think people have started asking, well, is he stronger than Beerus now? And this arguably peaked, at least back then, when Beerus appeared distressed over Goku's Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. Of course, this form made its debut in the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament, and some fans seem to take Beerus's, reaction as an indication of him fearing Goku, that he would actually lose in such a battle. However, I'm gonna say that you can really make the argument that Beerus was not in fact concerned that he would lose, but maybe more surprised or astonished at Goku's massive growth with God Ki, considering that he had just learned it like 2 seconds ago, at least compared to the lifespan of a god like Beerus, and him already managing to combine it with an entirely separate technique. Now, obviously, you could say that that is definitely a bit of headcanon, since I don't believe it was directly confirmed one way or another, but if you want to believe that Goku surpassed Beerus here, I guess, I wouldn't agree with that, but go ahead. That isn't the purpose of this video, because I want to focus on later down the line. A quick little side note, people seem to forget, not that this is necessarily concrete for scaling, but people usually forget that Beerus actually fought Goku again while Goku was in his base form. After this very tournament, when Beerus was, of course, disguised as Monaka, but unfortunately we stopped them before they could really get going. Moving on, the next time that this particular debate, Goku versus Beerus, was brought up again was probably during the Tournament of Power, I would say, at least in the anime. Brought up again when there are several statements by multiple sources confirming that Jiren the Grey, of course, Goku's strongest opponent up until that point, is even stronger than the God of Destruction from his own universe, meaning Belmod from Universe 11. It is noted by Whis that that particular God of Destruction surpasses even the power of Beerus, and in a bit of promotional material for the anime, or the 1 hour special, I believe, when Goku first unlocked Ultra Instinct, it's even stated that Jiren's power surpasses all gods of destruction as he fights Goku. At the end of the Tournament of Power, of course, Ultra Instinct Goku is able to defeat a full power Jiren and ultimately make him concede in battle. And for a while, I think a certain amount of people seem content that Goku had safely surpassed Beerus in this state, in his silver-haired form, again, at least in the anime. However, when the moral arc of the manga, I would say things began definitely heating up again for one particular reason. Due to the fact that I don't believe Whis ever states that Belmont is above Beerus in the manga, combined with the fact that Beerus seemed to dominate in the sort of battle royale of the other Hakaishin, fans seemed comfortable believing that even after the Universal Rival Saga, Goku had still not yet surpassed Beerus. This, unfortunately, is despite the fact that there is a manga scan stating that even, of course, manga Jiren surpasses all of the gods of destruction, and even even if Jiren only surpasses Belmont, you can still make the argument that Belmont at least somewhat scales to Beerus, seeing as, if you pay attention, and I'll put the panel up on screen, if you pay attention to the Battle Royale, Belmont is the only God of Destruction there who seems to have taken minimal to no damage. And he actually manages to catch every single God of Destruction off guard at once, including Beerus, with a single attack. Now this next thing I'm about to bring up is a little controversial, but this may, and I'm stressing this may, give additional credence to the Supreme Kai statement back in the Black Arc of Vegeta Blue potentially reaching Beerus' level, and of course since natural shonen progression, okay, let's say the Universe 6 arc, they're weaker than Beerus. Black arc, they reach Beerus. And then in the Tournament of Power arc, then they surpass Beerus. Natural shonen progression. You could try and make that argument. This would seem to indicate that post-Moral arc is weaker than Black arc Vegeta Blue, since you remember that um, Beerus actually quite easily defeats Blue Vegeta, right? In one of the more recent chapters. However, you can argue two things. That one, since Beerus continually trains with Whis, maybe you can argue he got stronger, right? So Beerus' power in the Black Arc might not be the same as the one where it is in the Moral Arc. However, I think a more concrete one, or something that a little bit more accurate, would be due to him being mentally suppressed or mental blocking, and I'll explain that later. But as far as Shin's statement, that isn't quite necessary to make that particular point. Of course, the Beerus crowd grew louder near the conclusion of the Moral arc, where Beerus seems to suggest that he would have something up his sleeve that would aid Goku in the battle against, I guess, Planet Moro, or Moro after he fuses with the Earth itself. The problem with this statement, or not necessarily the statement, but the problem with the people who interpret the statement, seem to think that this actually refers to attack potency, or even destructive capacity, when we know for a fact that the gods have techniques that don't necessarily correlate to physical striking strength that can defeat enemies stronger than them. What I'm referring to in this case are sealing techniques that we've seen both used by one of the Kais, the big fat Kai that Boo swaps places with in the Moral arc, that one, and of course by Beerus and Whis themselves in the Black arc. It is not beyond imagination, I would say, to believe that what Beerus was referring to when he states, "Oh, I'll lend a hand," is not necessarily an indication of him being stronger than Goku per se, but has a technique, like a sealing technique, that might not even apply in a traditional versus battle. This is cemented by Beerus himself, I would say, when he corrects Goku in the Black Arc. After he corrects Goku, when Goku asked if his technique that he speaks of can beat immortals, and Beerus responds that he actually can't kill them, which of course implies that he is another method to defeat those type of tricky opponents outside of straight up killing them. Not to mention, Goku does not actually get a chance to figure out a plan to defeat Moro before Beerus says he's stepping in, and had that time not been wasted, he might have been able to do something. I will admit that in of itself is again a bit of headcanon. Maybe Goku would have, maybe he wouldn't have, because Goku isn't exactly the most intelligent thing, intelligent life form in this universe. But that may be headcanon, but it doesn't still place Beerus above Goku necessarily. In I think the last chapter, is it chapter 69 or 68? I think the Beerus fans were in an uproar once again, as it's revealed that Ultra Instinct is actually not the only technique of the gods, and of course Beerus has one of his own, stating that the angel's specialty is Ultra Instinct, whereas the gods of destruction, or at least Beerus, has something different. Vegeta, naturally, he wants to learn this, and Beerus states that he could even potentially surpass Goku with it, and that leads, as most things do in Dragon Ball, to them fighting, them meaning Beerus and Vegeta. Unfortunately, since Vegeta kind of gets spit on, Beerus seems to be far above Vegeta as he beats him fairly casually. And of course, I think Beerus even states that his power is limitless, or there's no limit to his power, or something like that. But that's a bit of a meme in the Dragon Ball community. We've seen the no limit line in Dragon Ball plenty of times before. So there's not necessarily need to assume that Beerus is stronger than he actually is, at least based off that statement alone. Um, People interpreted this scene for whatever reason as proof that Beerus surpasses Goku for two reasons. I think one is they scale Goku directly to Vegeta, and of course they say that since Beerus has a technique that allows Vegeta to surpass Goku, Beerus, already knowing the technique, must already be above Goku. Um, that's a problem. Those are both wrong because Vegeta, as we know, for a large part of the series, the franchise really, Vegeta is playing catch up to Goku, especially in these past couple of arcs, which is shown even in this chapter, chapter 68, I think, where Vegeta can do nothing but literally sit on the sidelines as Goku trains with Whis, and he even visually appears to be annoyed or discontent, what have you. As such, I would say it's not exactly fair to try and scale them directly to each other. I'm not saying that Goku is so massively above Vegeta that it's not even close to being a competition, like, several tiers above, but I would say if you were to put Goku and Vegeta against each other now, Goku would probably win without, being mortally wounded or something, right? Again, bit of headcanon there. Um, but what I wanted to touch on is not only is Goku superior at this point with his level of Ultra Instinct, especially when it's stated that Vegeta is not being able to grow. He's stated as not being able to grow due to him now being trapped in the past. I believe Beerus stated this. This is what I meant earlier when I was touching on mental barriers, which would actually suppress Vegeta's true power or his true potential. Secondly, the new technique that Vegeta is hopefully supposed to acquire soon is only stated that it would be possible for him to surpass Goku, meaning that it is not concrete regardless. It's not that Vegeta gets the new form and then bam, he's inherently above Goku. It's like he gets the new form and then okay, it's possible from that point that he can surpass Goku, right? So it's not concrete to try and say that, Beerus is above Goku just because of this new technique. Um, with all of this considered, I think we can wrap up here that I think it's pretty fair to say that Goku by now is above Beerus in both the manga and the anime, at least with the information that we know right now. Maybe Beerus is stronger than we all think, but from what we see, it's a little hard to argue for Beerus in this case, considering that Goku has a lot of good stuff. A lot of good feats, a lot of good statements, especially with the power of Ultra Instinct itself, is quite the ability. Things could change down the line, so of course I think this would be one of those videos that has an expiration date, but hopefully I hope you enjoyed hope you enjoyed this little analysis, regardless of whether it turns out to be right or wrong in the future, or even in this next chapter. What do you know? Maybe next chapter it stated, Goku is still below Beerus or whatever. That's gonna do it for me this time, though. So I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you liked the video or you learned something new. If you didn't like the video or you didn't learn anything, please be sure to leave a dislike. My name is Luna, also known as Luna the Programmer, and I am out of here.
Nomad Beats.